All right, go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you for interviewing with me today.
Who are you?
I'm Emily. What's your name?
Patrick Newton.
Patrick Newton. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm going to start off asking, what was your childhood like and what were your favorite memories growing up?
My childhood was like, I'm the oldest of 5 children. My parents are Gary and Evelyn Newton. We moved a lot. I was born outside of Detroit, Michigan in 1964. My parents were together until my mother passed away in 2005. They married in 1963 and I was born in 1964. As I said, I was born in Michigan, outside of Detroit. We moved a lot. Your grandfather, my father, was a career military man and he was in the United States Navy for approximately 34 years. So I lived in Michigan, I lived in Illinois, I lived in Florida, I lived in Virginia, and I lived in Bremerton, Washington before I graduated high school. We moved a lot, so I was always the new kid, and that caused trouble for me, and that caused me to be uncomfortable, and I was a small boy until I was 17. So I got in a lot of fights and kind of got bullied a little bit, and I never had any close friends because we moved about every 3 years. My favorite memories are of fishing with my parents at a very young age and crabbing in Florida and Virginia. My favorite thing probably has been fishing, and it was one of my mom's favorite things. Our whole family would fish and crab in Chesapeake Bay, which is in Virginia. And one of the funniest things I can remember is I was fishing and I was an active child, maybe a little ADD, and I ran down we were on a pier fishing and we had crab traps out with ropes tied to the side of the dock. And I would run back and forth from my mom and dad into the rain, or probably Joe too. And my rod was laying on the dock with the line out in the water with bait on it, and my rod went shoo and flew off the dock, and I lost the rod because a bigger fish bit it. My dad was very angry, but I still remember it.
Sounds like you had an active childhood.
I did. I did lots of things. We went camping in the Blue Ridge Mountains, which are between Virginia and West Virginia. We did some road trips. We went to the Grand Canyon. When I was older, I was a starter every year of a letterman. In other words, where I was the best on the team. You know, the starting wrestler in my weight class and the starting number 1 or number 2 tennis player from my freshman year on. So I played first or second seed, and I played number 1 doubles every year.
Was your father active in the military when you guys were moving around a lot?
Yeah, he was active duty, yeah.
So then when did you first start thinking about joining the military?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't until I get kicked out of college. Well, I did actually. In my junior year, I thought about applying to the Naval Academy, and I probably would have been accepted at Annapolis, but I realized I was very immature, mentally and socially. I was not popular, and I didn't interact a lot with kids. I was kind of a loner. But I didn't apply, and I didn't take my SATs on time because I was afraid. In hindsight, I was afraid of failing I don't know, not being tough enough. I don't know, that was just fear.
To join the Navy?
The Naval Academy,
Navy.
which was to become an officer and be yelled at, and it's real tough. But I ended up getting scholarship offers for wrestling and tennis to Division II colleges, and the #1 junior college in the country for tennis at College of the Desert in Palm Springs. They were #1 in the 80s. So I chose tennis. And when I went away from home, well, let me backtrack. My first drink was my freshman year in high school at a dance. A junior took me. It was a Sadie Hawkins dance, so the girl asked the boy. And I drank 5 or 6 beers, and I became inebriated, and I don't remember much of the night, but I remember it was fun, and I could talk to this girl. And when she drove me home, I passed out.
Good one.
And she rolled me out of the car.
Left you on the side?
On the lawn.
Oh, jeez.
And I remember it was fun.
So was getting kicked out of college the reason that you joined the military?
Yes.
Yes.
My dad said, "You're not coming home to live at home." So within 3 days, I took my military ASVAB test and tested very high. And my physical the second day, and my father drove me to San Diego and swore me into the military in his uniform, which was a big honor. And I went to Navy like him. And I could have chosen espionage and intelligence or the nuclear program. I could choose anything because I scored above 85, and 98 is the highest score possible. And I chose to become a corpsman, which is a paramedic. And I went in the service in the end of 1982.
Why did you choose to be a paramedic?
Because my dad did, and I don't know, I was good at math and science. My grades were never great, really, in high school. I didn't really try. I just wanted to pass, and I struggled in English in hindsight and literature, and excelled in math and science and history. So I went in the service and boot camp in San Diego, and I received the highest award for the battalion, which is 6 classes, which is the honorman, where I scored the highest in the physical fitness test and scored the 3rd highest in the aptitude tests in boot camp. So I received a big award, and it's somewhere here. And then I got in trouble that night and lost a rank, the rank I was going to receive the next day for getting drunk. Actually, I think for having a Playboy. I think that's what it was. I had a magazine with 2 other guys.
Wow.
They had it, and then we were caught with it. But I think it was because the drill instructor wanted to give it to someone less fortunate.
I see.
And I went to work in the emergency room and the trauma ward. And then I went to Camp Pendleton to go to field medical school to work with Marines, and graduated that. And that was 6 weeks. And then I went back to the hospital, and then I was with a radical deployment medical team, and then Beirut happened, where the embassy was bombed, the U.S. embassy with 300 or 400 Marine and Navy personnel, and they were all killed, and part of the Pacific Fleet in San Diego went over with some Marine Corps teams, and we tried to kill the terrorists that did it in mid-1983, I believe. And Ronald Reagan was president, and he allowed us to tried to find the people that blew up the embassy with 500 pounds of explosives with a truck.
Okay. How did being in the military change the way you see the world compared to before you enlisted?
It made me grow up and get responsible. It made me very accountable, because whenever I wasn't accountable or drinking too much, which I got in a lot of trouble for in hindsight, it was all because every time I did get in trouble, I was drinking. It made me callous and tough in some ways, because I've seen a lot of people pass away in a lot of different ways and die, some brutal, some okay. So it made me rough in some ways, mentally and emotionally, because one minute you're there and then the next minute you're not there. And I had to put people in body bags and put tags on them to identify their body, on their toe and their wrist and their teeth. It also affected to me where I needed to drink so I could sleep. Looking back at it now, besides the fact that I liked alcohol and I didn't get sick very often, it allowed me to forget the things I saw and the way I felt about myself dealing with it. It taught me to be a team player, and it taught me to be really responsible in dire situations, and I enjoyed it.
Would you say that would be the hardest part about serving, like physically or mentally, emotionally?
Seeing people die is hard emotionally. I would say the physical part I excelled in and enjoyed, and having to do things that were really tough, I was well above average or excellent.
Well, I think you just answered this, but how did you cope with stress or fear when you were serving?
Working out and running, and then drinking. I was already an alcoholic by the time I was 20 years old, because in hindsight, after I quit drinking, I could see that by journaling and writing and thinking about the things I did while drinking, that I needed to drink to forget. But whenever I drank, it never helped. So I got out of the service because I was immature and because I thought the military was holding me back. But what it was I was just very irresponsible because I had a drinking problem.
Were there any moments or experiences during your service that have stayed with you?
Being an honor man of the division, seeing people survive from me helping them with their treatment with a doctor, has made me feel good. Knowing how to do lots of things when there's a bad accident or an emergency situation, I feel I can handle it. Even today, at 61 years old.
What was it like coming home after your service ended? And was it like you expected?
I didn't think much of it. It wasn't really a big deal. No. I was kind of ashamed because I should have stayed in, and I kind of bailed. And I should have stayed in longer because I didn't face my drinking things. I didn't face my troubles that I caused from drinking, and instead of staying in and doing better and re-enlisting longer to get, I think, more grown up as a man, not just as my job, that getting out kind of let me be more irresponsible and immature.
How long did you serve for?
6 years.
And you could have done 8 or 10.
I could have done 20, but I could have done 3 more and made it 9. active. I had 3 more reserve, but I just made it inactive reserve. I could have done some elite team things that I was physically qualified for, that I passed the test, but I bowed out, like I said.
A lot of veterans struggle to adjust to civilian life, and some turn to alcohol or drugs to cope. Can you talk about your own experiences with that?
I already have many times. So I used alcohol and drugs at times to cope with things I saw. Only when I quit drinking and when I went to a 12-step program was I able to see that alcohol was my coping mechanism and also my biggest problem.
How did your drinking affect your relationships or your ability to move forward after the military?
My drinking, that's a good question, caused me two really important girlfriend relationships that I had because I couldn't be honest and I couldn't be accountable and I couldn't be a good boyfriend.
What about with your family?
Well, my father was an alcoholic at the same time, so he really wasn't a good example, and I was becoming an angry alcoholic, whereas he was a happy alcoholic. So I had a tendency to get in a lot of fights in bars and humiliate my parents and myself.
What helped you start making changes or find support, and what has the process been like?
Well, the only reason I made a change is because I could no longer blame anyone or anything for my arrests and my loss of relationships and my poor family relationships and loss of careers, because all of the ones I can look at were my fault or that I lost because of my actions drinking. So one day, after being around somebody that was my coworker and friend for a year who was sober, I realized maybe I should ask for help because I felt like poop and I felt emotionally and mentally bankrupt.
And you got better.
And then I got sober on June 25th, 1996, and I've been sober ever since. And I've used the suggestions in the manual we have and worked with mentors and men that have experience to help me clear away the wreckage of my past and to become a grown-up, a semi-decent man, and a responsible worker, and a decent father and parent.
Well, going back to after you had finished your service, about studies show that 1 in 7 veterans become homeless.
I was homeless for a short period of time, but I was more of destroying my life, like renting an apartment and then not paying my rent after a few months, losing a job, like I had a software job, I had a data entry job, I had a bartending job, but I would choose drinking and having fun over paying bills.
If you could give any advice to a veteran who's just coming home and struggling, what would you tell them?
It depends on what they're struggling with. If it's post-traumatic stress disorder, I would suggest they go to PTSD groups and see a counselor about what they're seeing and feeling. If they're using alcohol or drugs, I would suggest that they find out what their problem is, and if they can't stop drinking, or when they drink, they change their personality, they probably have a problem with alcohol or other substances.
Looking back now, what are you most proud of from your services?
Being an honorable veteran in the service.
Sorry. And from your journey afterward.
That I've been able to stay sober and not be arrested, and to have 3 really good jobs sober. I've been at Precision Cast Parts 8+ years now. I work in non-destructive testing and inspection, and it's allowed me to make an above average income and to save money for retirement and to pay a lot of our house down, to be a good dad, to be a good family man.
How do you want people, especially your family, to know your story or understand it?
By doing this, by watching and asking questions, by doing things together. The end.
The end.
30 minutes. That's awesome. Thank you. Love you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Love you. Bye.